What's a statistically proven fact that nobody wants to hear? Teen pregnancy has been declining since the 70s and IRC is currently an all-time low. Don't tell the baby boomers that, though. It'll destroy their narrative of this generation being a bunch of sexed-up lunatics. While deployed in Afghanistan or Iraq, American female soldiers were more likely to be raped by their fellow soldier than attacked by the enemy. That the world is a safer place now than in any other time in history. Yesterday I stubbed my toe against a table for the first time in 5 years, so your statement may be false. The majority of rapes and sexual assaults are committed by someone already known to the victim. One of the reasons we need to change the narrative around rape assault IMO because people still have the image of stranger lurking in a dark alley and often think of the attacker as not like that because they don't seem like a scary alley dweller. There's someone that has been let into lives and homes. About 1 man a year accidentally shoots his dick off. Dude, it's more than that. My wife works in urology at trauma hospital and sees a few dick shot cases a year. People carry their gun in their waistband and boom. If you put a cow in an airtight container, it would die of methane poisoning before it ran out of oxygen. More things live on your skin than there are humans on planet Earth. This seems to weird a lot of people out, but it doesn't bother me. I just hope my little buddies are healthy and having a good time. Reminds me of that cartoon series about a germ detective, Osmosis Jones. If the number of medical errors we have in hospitals was the same as pilot errors in airlines, we'd have 267 fully loaded 366-passenger Boeing 747s crash every year. That's how many people medical errors kill. What's being done about this? Not as much as you'd think. Doctors are overworked, nurses are overworked, etc. No one has enough sleep. The medical field needs to follow the aviation field and its incredibly good culture of safety. 60 to 70% of all elderly couples in the United States still engage in oral sex. If you're in a room full of people with no windows open, that headachy feeling you get is oxygen deprivation. If oxygen levels drop by 2% total volume of the room, it'll make you feel groggy. But nobody wants to hear that. It's just stuffy in here. Yeah, that's what causes the stuffiness. That 61% of us gun deaths are suicides. That 20 to us veterans commit suicide every day. Crime rates in the United States have steadily decreased since the 1990s, yet the media and government portray a much more pessimistic narrative. If you're meeting Mickey Mouse at Disney World, there's a 98% chance there's a girl inside. Edit. I have some other things to take care of today, but I'll be back to answer your questions, so help me Walt. In Africa, girls are more likely to be raped and receive formal education. Organically and conventionally produced foodstuffs are not significantly different in their nutrient content. Also, GMO is such a broad term. Every grain we have in the US has been genetically modified in one way or another. If you are white, the most likely person to murder you is a white person known to you. If you are black, the most likely person to murder you is a black person known to you. If you are Hispanic, the most likely person to murder you is a Hispanic person known to you. Stop worrying about what those people are doing or scheming to do to you and worrying about your own friends and family. Oh, it gets better than that. Because you know who, by far, is the most likely person to kill you. You. In 2013, there were about 16,000 murders in the US, which sounds like a large number, and it is. But in that same year there were about 41,000 suicides. Source: the person most likely to murder you isn't a stranger at all. 9/10, possibly more, of child abductions, rapes or abuse are committed by a family member or close family friend. This means that stranger danger is the least of your worries. I see this so often and it makes no sense. Insecure parents are willing to limit their child's activities or independence to, say, Disallow them walk home from school on their own or go to the shop on their own, but yet have no problem letting them over to their relatives or friends' houses. It makes no sense. The world is not as mean as people think it is, and the overwhelming majority of people are good. Edit. For anyone wondering, I understand fully why you would trust your child with a relative. My point is more that if you do that, then a walk down the street alone for your child should be perfectly acceptable, given that it's statistically nearly 10 times safer assuming your child knows how to safely cross a road. I'm trying to highlight the incorrect risk assessment being made in the latter, not to say that children shouldn't be left with relatives. Men who have penetrative sex with other men are at higher risk of contracting STDs than any other demographic, and that is the reason why they face more restrictions when trying to donate blood. Trying to explain this to someone who's decided that blood transfusion centers are institutionally and randomly homophobic and bigoted is like trying to argue with a climate change denier who has the added character flaw of the obnoxious liberal, who think that because they're offended on behalf of the little people that it gives them free rein to say really vile, ignorant things and get away with it. I don't need people like that pretending to stand up for me. Fat people die earlier than average people due to diabetes and other complications. Like I already didn't know my life is short. This is the question I ask my kids' teens. How many people have you met that were over 80? Now, how many of them were fat? Vaccines don't cause autism. And the guy who created the only report that said that had his medical license revoked and went to fucking prison. In Europe and in the US, an individual's likelihood of being hurt or killed by a terrorist is negligible. In college, a professor made everyone in the class go home and look up how many people in the US died from terror attacks between 2002 and 2016, and amount of cancer deaths in the same period. We also had to look at how much money our government spends on preventing each of those things and recommend what we should be spending on each based on that info. It was a really thought-provoking assignment. E1. This is not touted as a designed experiment for a study. It's just supposed to make you think about what we hear the most news about versus what we are actually likely to die from. 2. The 9/11 attack was not included because it is a statistical outlier and skews the results of how many Americans a year normally die in terror attacks. When it is included, however, many more Americans still die of cancer, so I don't think it matters that much whether or not it is included for the point being made. Driving. Riding in a car is way more dangerous than flying, yet more people are scared to get on planes than cars. To be fair, my fear of planes stems from my anxiety from not being in control. I have a less intense reaction when I'm not the person driving, and my fear of heights. And with everything in the media, it just escalates everything. Vegans tend to have lower rates of cancer than meat eaters and vegetarians. For example, vegan women had 34% lower rates of female-specific cancers like breast, cervical, and ovarian cancer. Similar results were found in men for prostate cancer. The creator of GIF says, it's pronounced GIF. Jews make up 2% of the American population. Jews make up 48% of the billionaires in America. There have been several studies which have proven the gender-based wage gap no longer exists in comparing equally educated, equally skilled employees in the same job at the same employer for the same amount of time. There are many reasons why the average woman may earn less than the average man, including the differences above as well as types of jobs each gender tends to gravitate toward, as well as other factors. 1. Worldwide obesity has more than doubled since 1980. 2. In 2014, more than 1.9 billion adults, 18 years and older, were overweight. Of these, over 600 million were obese. 3.39% of adults age 18 years and over were overweight in 2014, and 13% were obese. 4. Most of the world's population live in countries where overweight and obesity kills more people than underweight. 5.41 million children under the age of 5 were overweight or obese in 2014. 6. Obesity is preventable. Pit bulls maul more people than any other breed of dog. I am not a pit bull supporter by any means, but I have two issues with this. 1. Pit bulls tend to be picked more often by shitty people who want to look cool and raise an aggressive dog and look like a badass too. I wonder if other dog attacks are not being reported because if you get mauled by a poodle or wiener dog, the damage will be minor and thus not reported, whereas getting mauled by a pit bull can easily mean hospitalization. Thanks for watching. Share your stories in the comments.